So guys, we're on Super Jam Podcast, and I've got Andrew and Phoebe and Talia. Youth music.
Hello.
Very exciting. How are you guys doing? You all right?
Yeah, good. How are you?
Straight after the talk, I'm good, thanks. Straight after the talk at the DITTO conference, which is so cool. So I'm wondering, how are you guys feeling about that?
Yeah, good. I think we covered a lot of ground, a lot of stuff on funding, and we had PRS and Help Musicians and Tile Yard with us as well. So that was great.
Amazing.
Great voices, I think, on the panel. Everyone had something different to bring, so it was really, really good. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think because Super Jam mainly works for like 16 to 25-year-olds who are into music and media, it was like great for them to get insight into that side of things as well. And Andrew, you were on our panel earlier as well. Thanks so much about neuro-diversity in the music industry, which is like kind of Super Jam's bread and butter. So thanks for taking part in that as well.
No, it's been brilliant getting involved. I actually felt quite bad because I grabbed you guys to come and do this podcast, but there's loads of questions for you as well. So
it's fine.
It's brilliant to watch your panel. I loved it.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Yours too.
Oh, thank you.
Absolutely, yeah. And what I was wondering is there maybe is an intersection where a lot of this meets as well, where there might be some neurodiverse people who find applying for grants and funding like quite daunting. So is there any ways, I'm sure there is, but that you guys have started making it a bit more accessible, or different tools you've used to help people who are neurodiverse access it?
Yeah, so Youth Music offers what's called an access fund, where people who identify as disabled or neurodivergent who might need extra support in submitting their application can apply for that. For example, for the costs of a support worker to help them fill in the application. So that's one of the support options that we offer. And then another is they can apply for access funding during their project. So if they'll need help in the actual process of creating their projects, whether it's an EP, an event, or just anyone that they might need to help them actually complete the project, they can also apply for funding for that.
Yeah, and we also do one-to-one calls, so you can have a chat with us for 15 minutes if you've got any questions whatsoever, and we'll be really transparent and open about, all the different criteria and any questions they've got. So that's been really nice, sort of meeting people and doing those calls.
That'd be amazing. Maybe one day we could get you guys in one of our remote podcasts and we can go in a bit more depth about it if you have the time as well. We do that sometimes with our creative industries podcast, where people like you guys in and do kind of our students help do the interviews and stuff like that. So we're doing a little snapshot one just now since there's the conference on. But I think even just hearing a little bit about this behind the scenes is so useful for them as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. Good stuff. Is there anything else you guys are looking forward to at the conference today?
Oh, there's a lot going on. There's so many things about royalties and stuff that I always forget how to do that.
Yeah.
Personally, every time I come to a conference, I look forward to the people that I meet, because I feel like every conference that you go to and every panel that I do, the crowd is so different, and it's so interesting to hear people's stories and kind of the motivation that brings them to that event. And I just love meeting people who have a passion to work in the music industry. So that's probably what I'm looking forward to.
That's so nice. There was a little bit of discourse on stage earlier of someone that was saying about live shows versus TikTok audience and, what you should prioritize. And obviously it was kind of both, but being more old school and playing gigs, that's kind of what I've done, I guess. But there's a lot of new stuff coming out of TikTok and, viral moments, which scares me a bit, but not everyone is scared of that. And it's obviously an amazing tool. So there was a bit of that on stage, which was actually really healthy to see. Yeah,
definitely. And speaking of that kind of thing, and speaking of, it's obviously such a benefit to social media and video, other forms of media, about taking it back to the sort of networking side of it, or even just the thing of going out to gigs, getting involved in your local scene and the benefits of that. But some of the students I've worked with have quite a bit of anxiety about that. Maybe it's to do with just generally, or maybe because they are neurodiverse. Have you got any tips for students who are feeling that way, Andrew, who might feel that it's a barrier? I know I should do that. Everyone says I should do it, but this in-person stuff is freaking me out.
Yeah, I think I've taught undergraduate music business and performance for almost 20 years. And I've definitely seen a trend in the last 4 or 5 years, essentially since COVID, where the kind of experience of being in that gig ecosystem and going to your first festival with your family, or going to your local place and seeing a grassroots band performing at a local venue. People have missed out on those steps, so I think we've kind of lost a little bit of that vocabulary, that kind of social lexicon you pick up when you start going out and understanding a little bit how the live music ecosystem works. I also think it's very interesting looking at how many grassroots music venues are closing and how differently people, and young people especially, are approaching music making and connecting themselves with careers nowadays. Because I think the kind of game has changed and the industry hasn't quite caught up on what that looks like. And I think it's why the work that you guys are doing, why Youth Music and all the projects you're involved with are so critical, because that learning to earning gap is absolutely critical. And it just needs more attention, more funding, more support.
Absolutely. Do you think there's anything venues could do to be more accessible for people who are neurodiverse, who either want to get their first gig or even just kind of go there and kind of experience it and start getting involved in their scene? Because I think sometimes that talking to strangers or something like that can be a bit daunting for people.
I did tangent a bit, didn't I? So from personal experience, don't judge a gig by being an audience member. If you're wanting to get into music and you're wanting to be a performer, that's not a good reference point. I think for neurodivergent people that aren't so confident about talking to people or getting involved, there is an element of kind of, you've got to meet the industry at a point. Like, there's got to be compromise on both parts, and I think that's a growing nuanced dialogue. But going to a gig as a musician, just to give you a quick parallel, you don't turn up, stand in a queue, really noisy, really bright, stand around with 500-600 people around you with all the lights flashing, getting bumped into. Like, when I went to my first gig, I loved music, but I hated the gig. I had no idea why. But the first time I got to perform, I arrived before everyone else. I had my own little room to sit in. I could have my lights and sound adjusted on stage. So actually, performance gave everything to me. But I think it's a leap of faith. And I think for those who are brave enough to make the leap of faith, the rewards are on the other side. So just be brave. Just this once. I promise you it's worth it.
Yeah.
I think that's a great answer.
I used to get such bad stage fright as well, and just, I don't know, over time it got easier. But many times I'm like, why am I doing this? But then I realise how much I love doing it. So it's kind of getting over that imposter syndrome as well sometimes.
Do you have like a moment when you're on stage and you kind of go into a trance type thing?
I think so. When I feel really connected to my bandmates, I just forget about the audience. I love that.
What I would say as well, as a promoter, I think it can be quite daunting to kind of like coordinate events, and I think, like Andrew was saying, like, it's a totally different side of the industry. Like, you are going to have to put yourself out of your comfort zone as someone who's been there and done that. Like, the sheer volume of emails that you are going to have to send is uncomfortable for anyone. But I think what I took away from the whole process of being funded for Femstival and even beyond is that when you get a rejection or when someone doesn't quite meet your expectations or something doesn't go quite right, that's not a reflection of you as a creative and as a person. And sometimes it can be hard to take, I think, when you're navigating these relationships, like socially with different people and different stakeholders, and everyone expects different things. It can be stressful, but they're not seeing necessarily you as a person. They're seeing what you have to offer as a business, or as a musician. They're seeing like the outward facing part of your project rather than you. So I would just I would advise anyone to keep that in mind, like if they ever feel nervous about interacting with other people.
Yeah, definitely. And I think there's that like old saying, start to get comfortable with feeling uncomfortable.
Yeah, definitely. Welcome to my life.
And also there was a great, come back to what you said, Talia, there's a great clip doing the rounds on the internet of Pharrell, the famous artist, giving advice to a younger man. And it was backstage somewhere, and he was like, all this stuff, and he means like the music industry and that. So, and he didn't mean like your actual music, because you need to put emotion into that. But I think he said all this stuff, like decisions, the business, all that. He's like, don't get emotional about that, because it clouds your judgment. And he's like, it's not worth getting emotional about.
Yeah.
Like, a new child's born, someone dies, whatever, like that's worth getting emotional about. But the actual music stuff, he's like, put your heart and soul into it, but try not to get emotional about it when it comes to like the decisions or the business or the emails and stuff, like 100%. The actual music, your lyrics, your music, put emotion into that. So it's that but it's almost knowing when to put the emotion in and when to be like, oh no, this is more, I just need clarity. And not take it personally and stuff like
It's
that.
a difficult line to draw, definitely, because if you're putting your heart and soul into a project, then it's going to mean a lot to you. And then when you're going out to other people about it and you're saying like, this is my project, please support me, and they don't respond in the way that you want them to, then that can feel quite personal. But I think is exactly what you said in terms of just like trying to detach yourself from it in a way.
Yeah. One thing I was going to ask as well. Oh, sorry, Andrew.
Well, I was just going to think, I just wanted to draw out what Talia meant about like getting used to a no. I think that's really important. I think, again, for young artists who might be trying to access these performance opportunities and jump that kind of chasm and get onto a stage, try and remember, I mean, I one of my roles is programming Cheltenham Jazz Festival. So when I get, 200, 300, 400 artists come in, I will listen to everything. But my decision process, I'd say the artist's music is maybe 10%. It's also about the artist's profile. It's about maturity, where they are on their journey, whether they've got new material coming out, whether it's going to fit the stages that I've got available, whether it's going to slot in at a particular time, whether it's going to be suitable to the audience. There's about 20, 30 considerations as to whether that band gets the job, and very little of it is personal. If any, actually. I've never looked at the band application and gone like, oh, I don't like you. I don't like what you're trying to say. That sounds weird.
Same with
it?
funding. It's just always competitive. Yeah. And if people come back again, we do notice, we're like, this person's applied 3 times. Really, that coming back attitude does help.
Yeah.
That was a specific question I had as well, actually, to do with funding. So if you... say the average application is going to take at least a few hours to research and then a few hours to fill out at least, and then say you get a knockback, which I understand can happen because like the reasons you guys talked about in your talk. How much time over like a year or I'll say a 12 months period do you think it's worth submitting to grant applications, would you think? And because there's more than just your body as well.
Yeah.
And because there is a finite amount of time people have to do music in their life, because quite often they're supporting it with either a college or uni course, or they're doing a work job, day job. So so they actually need to put time into the actual doing music as well. So how much time do you think they should at least box off, like, this much a month or this much every 6 months to do an application?
I'm thinking of neurodivergence now, because time is so different to everyone. So it might not be time, but it might be like what feels right. Like if you're not getting, successful applications, maybe it's just go and work on your stuff for a bit. Yeah. Take a step back. If you're feeling jaded and sad, maybe just stop for a bit and do what makes you happy.
Yeah.
That's kind of my vibe on this.
Okay, cool.
What I would say is, if it makes anyone feel any better, I was in my second year of university when I applied for youth music funding and got it. So I think it is possible to balance with a university workload. What helped me was actually fitting it in between deadlines and like school holidays. And I know it's not like ideal, because obviously over Christmas you want to be eating Christmas dinner. You don't want to be writing 3 pages application for youth music.
Yeah.
But I think that's the joy of the youth music application, actually, is that it's quite short. I mean, not everyone who listens to this maybe is going to go straight for youth music. They might prefer PRS. But also PRS was quite short. But I think a lot of the questions, once you look at and break down the different grants, are quite similar. Not to say that you should copy and paste them exactly, but I think the more you get used to describing your project, the easier it becomes. Yeah. So once I'd been funded by youth music and then went for PRS, and I was sort of, oh my God, I don't have a lot of time. I think I had like a week. I realised, like, I've done this before. I've spoken about these things before, and I know my project. And I think that comes also like from you as well. Like, as long as you have that confidence in your project and you know that you're the expert on it, I think that writing the grant application doesn't need to seem as intimidating as it might otherwise be.
Amazing, guys. Well, we're coming to the end of our time. I was wondering if any of you guys had any last thoughts or anything you want to share before we wrap up?
Yeah, I guess anyone listening to this, if you're not sure, can I just say, don't wait for someone to give you permission. Just go and do it. Go and get that no, because at least you've got a no in the bag. Like, doing something is better than doing nothing.
Yeah.
Sometimes people forget this, but listen to music. What do you love about it? Who produced it? Who wrote it? Like, what label are they on? Like, get really curious. Get really nerdy if that's your thing.
Be a nerd about it.
And just get really stuck in. I also get obsessed with Tyler, the Creator's Converse talks. They're amazing. They're online. Cool. That always inspires me. He's amazing.
And I'd probably say, like, invest in yourself and, like, set yourself goals. And if it doesn't have to be the biggest goal ever. It could be like, I want to do one event in this year and it's going to sell this many tickets or something like that. But just like think about what journey you want to go on and set yourself like almost a path for how to get there. And I feel like you'll see success faster than you think.
Amazing. Well, I want to say thanks so much for your time, guys. I really appreciate it. That was full of golden advice and that. And to anyone listening, I really hope you can take this away and run with it. So thanks so much and enjoy the rest of the conference, guys.
Thank you.
Cheers. Bye. Thanks.